Balderdash Academy, competitive comedy. Good for your health like a yearly colonoscopy. Bring a flask, don't forget your hall pass. If you need a laugh, let me introduce the school staff. Marie Stewart Harmon teaches home economics. See her after class for some home brewed tonics. Sex with me is like Nate Green, cause finishing on top is his normal routine. Coach Steve brings the show's sports knowledge, but he's bad at portmanteaus cause he didn't go to college. Paulie McGill spits words like an Uzi. She wins every game but can't name a single movie. They call him Brady Hunt, the theater guru. He'll always almost win like deja vu do. Carla Rose Dubois, you better watch your back. She's notoriously known for teaching music facts. And Bob LeBlanc gets no disrespect. Don't talk back, cause he's technically correct. Yes, let's go. Balderdash Academy, baby. Alright, sit down, class is starting.
Welcome back to Balderdash Academy. Our points are Marie is in the lead with 100 points. Joining us today is Visiting Professor Renee S. DeCamillis. Now, Renee is a horror author, editor, musician, singer, tree-hugging hippie, my type of people. Now, before we move on to the next game, I will spin an opening icebreaker from a series of questions written by our intern, specifically for Renee. The Balderdash randomizer will select one of the 10 questions. And the question is...
Go big money.
Renee, you have 30 seconds or less to answer. What is your favorite subgenre of horror?
I like cosmic horror.
Cosmic horror. Being somebody who lives in Newburyport, I can appreciate that. Right? I basically live in Lovecraft country. All right. So, in honor of Renee's career as a horror writer and active member with the New England Horror Writers and the Horror Writers of Maine, we have 4 questions about topics from the grave. Now, whichever one of our faculty members gives the best, not the correct, but the best answer, Renee will award points. Our first question. While excavating a 1,300-year-old necropolis in northern Italy, archaeologists found the remains of a man with what unique appendage modification? Marie, what's your answer?
I would definitely love to go first. The unique appendage that this man had that was modified on his body because he was not born with it. He had a nose ring that was so large it went that his nose ended up growing around it, and so his nose, like these little flaps, they just grew down around it, and so and they became very hard. So they were like little nose shields on his nose, and that is definitely what was on this man 1,300 years ago.
Calcified nostril nose shields.
Yeah, I knew what I was going to say before I started talking.
Yeah, Nate, what do you have?
Well, I gotta say, I know everybody, when they think of Italy, they immediately think of gelato, which is amazing and hard to find in America. That's really good. But everybody thinks of that, despite the face Molly made. So what this guy did is, Mr. Gelato, that was his name. He created it. He loved it so much that he created expanders for his cheeks. So he was basically like a human chipmunk, and he would just store gelato in his cheeks, and it would just puff right up. Unfortunately, gelato melts, so there was a lot of drooling. It was really good tasting drool. But that was it.
All right, Nate with gelato chipmunk cheeks. Molly, what do you have?
Well, we all know that early man created the wheel, right? And then with the wheel came all kinds of amazing inventions. We have the plow. We have the ab roller. We have,
Thanks to
we
Glenn
have the
Summers.
frisbee.
The shake weight.
Right? But what this particular gentleman who was found invented himself, and what was attached to his arm, an appendage that he was not born with, it was actually the key to the very first Vespa. That's right, folks. This man invented the first Vespa to ever grace Italy's fine dirt and forested roads at that time.
All right. The first Vespa. Carla Rose, what do you have?
Well, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to answer this question as a genuine 100% Italian article. I know
Not to mention
specifically-
an actual
That you were an
archaeologist.
archaeologist.
Aside from being music teacher, what can I say? Anyway, I feel obligated to answer this question like this. All right. My family through the years, they passed this down. You know how they say maybe she's born with it? Well, this is maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. And it was Maybelline because everybody knows that if it was a young man that was found, his mother would not be far behind. And this young man had his mother surgically attached, and her name was Maybelline, and she had a pile of freshly made laundry in her arms. It's just an Italian thing. They love their mothers, and this one had his mother surgically attached to his side at all times, and she loved it. She just kept feeding him the meatballs.
Mom,
Oh, Julius, I love you. Oh, you eat, oh, you mange. Yeah.
All right. Oh, I want to apologize now. So, Renee, we have Marie with calcified nostrils, which turned into a nose shield. We have Nate with gelato chipmunk cheeks. We have Molly with the key to the first Vespa. And we have Carla Rose with a man had his mother Maybelline surgically attached to his arm.
Hungry.
Carla Rose is actually the closest. Believe it or not, it was a man with a knife blade prosthetic attached to his arm, which in Italian is referred to as a very bad day if you forget which hand you masturbate with. So,
Not only an Italian,
again,
my friend.
Yeah, right.
He's an
Renee.
Inspector Gadget.
we have Marie with a large nose ring and calcified nostrils, Nate with chipmunk cheeks, Molly with a key to the first Vespa, and Carla Rose with a mother surgically attached to an arm. How would you like to score?
Gonna have to go with Carla Rose with the top earning points for that one.
All
I
right,
have a son
how
who's
much?
very, very close to Mama, so I'm gonna go with 100 points for Carla Rose.
100 points to Carla Rose. Question
that's-
number 2. The Lothagam North Pillar site in Kenya is the oldest and largest cemetery site in Eastern Africa. And it contains what strange artifact? So this cemetery site in East Africa contains what strange artifact? Let's start with the archaeologist herself, Carla Rose.
Okay, so this is in Kenya, in Africa. This is going to be very unique to Africa, and this is going to be the skeleton of a penguin. And you're going to wonder how that got there. And many people have, but this was a very special. This was a special revered penguin that made his way to Africa, and he was found by a zebra family, and they took him in. He blended right in, and when he died, they gave him a very special burial, and they erected a pillar to as a monument to his fishy ways.
All right. Yeah. So unlike the penguins in actual South Africa, this is way north on the eastern coast of Africa. That is, makes sense why you'd get a statue. All right, Marie, what is your answer?
Sure. So Here in the United States, you know, high schoolers have a tendency of like going and hanging out in graveyards at night and being like, ooh, can we summon some spirits? Well, this happened in Kenya too. And not only were they these teenagers being like, ooh, spooky spirit summoning, they had to do so with the ritual shots. So there's shot glasses buried like 1 foot right below, underneath all, like throughout the entire cemetery. And boy, did those teenagers see some spirits.
Kids will be kids.
All right. All right. Come with your own spirits. Nate, what do you have?
Yes. This actually was what brought about the idea of The Little Mermaid by Walt Disney.
Okay.
So,
Walt Disney.
yeah. Or Disney Pictures. He was probably dead when they made it, but whatever. I mean, so Ariel's voice gets trapped in a box. Ursula does that. It's no. Alan, put a spoiler warning up.
Yeah.
Spoiler
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put the spoiler up for the 32-year-old movie, Nate.
I mean, it's not as old as Rocky. Yeah.
The song is old as time.
So yeah,
Right.
So that voice box really from The Little Mermaid was taken from this. What they discovered in Africa was a little box. When they brought it up, they opened it, and out came the voice of Fran Drescher, and that's how she got her voice. Yeah. I mean, they took some creative licenses with The Little Mermaid, but yeah.
That's amazing.
The voice of Fran Drescher. Once you open Pandora's box, you can't put the voice back in. I mean, that's just the truth. All right, Molly, what is your answer?
Oh, my Lord. That's great. Music is a huge part of African culture, and the Europeans and Asians then spread to us, and then everybody was kind of jiving together. We also know that there's torrential rains down in Africa, and
God bless them.
There's mudslides, and there's tons of mudslides and lots of rocks and mudslides and rocks, and the cemetery was just like, you know, overflowing, and years of this happened, and people just kind of like dancing on top of it, just getting down. And so when they finally went to digging in the graveyard to find what is actually there, they stumbled upon one of the greatest things of all time, Toto's album and their single, Africa.
Wow.
Because there's rains down in Africa.
I prefer the Weezer cover, but whatever.
No. All right, so we have Carla Rose with a skeleton of a penguin in East Africa. We have Marie with ritual shot glasses. We have Nate with the voice of Fran Drescher. And we have Molly's Toto album. Nate was, of course, nowhere close. The actual answer was a burial headdress made of more than 400 gerbil teeth.
Ooh.
Gerbils?
Wow.
Okay,
Half of my gerbils.
that sounds fabulous.
Insert gerbil joke here.
Richard Gere?
So, Renee, again, we have Carla Rose with a skeleton of a penguin, Marie with ritual shot glasses, Nate with the voice of Fran Drescher, Molly with Toto's album. Now, there is actually a sculpture piece in the Sahara that plays Africa continually on a loop. And should, unless it's covered by the desert, function for the next couple hundred years.
Oh, that's a
So,
beacon
Renee,
of love.
how would you like to score?
Well, you know, I wasn't expecting to hear anything about Toto. So, Molly, you're getting like, I'm going to give you, how about I give you like 250?
Wow.
250.
Wow.
Thank you.
Once again, out of nowhere, the grand champion is in the lead. So, question number 3. Between 1988 and 2002, archaeologists in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland discovered 2 unique mummies. Now, what made the mummies so unique? Molly, champ, what do you got?
Good, great, super duper. Mummies in Scotland the thing that made them so unique was that they were actually wearing the bladder of a sheep, which was their first failed trial of making haggis. There we go. I said words.
Good, excellent, yes. So they were haggist, which is now a verb. Carla Rose, what do you got?
These mummies were discovered in the Hebrides. Am I correct?
Yeah, Hebrides. Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. The Hebrides. So, when they dug these mummies up, it was interesting because they were in a graveyard, and these mummies were only about a week old. So they were like perfectly preserved. And so that was really, really unique that they were like young mummies, because most of the mummies that we find are old mummies. These are like new mummies, like newly minted mummies. And but like
2002 mummies.
What's that? Oh no. Sorry, I'm pitching my idea here. It's incredibly wrong. Okay. So there were these two mummies, and they were new mummies, and they had a pact going. So they were holding hands. They were like, yes, we're going to be like the newest mummies ever that you will ever find. And like the archaeologist was like, cool. And then the coroner came over and like, this isn't cool because these are new mummies. This is my jurisdiction. I'm the coroner.
Next on Scotland's CW, new mummies of the Hebrides. Marie, what's your answer?
Well, as we are in Scotland, when they fully removed the fabric, because that is what makes something a mummy, it's like the wrapping of it, the mummification.
Sure. Yeah.
They were saturated in scotch first, which helped with the long-term preservation of these bodies. So soaked in scotch, then mummified. They were very unique. They were wasted mummies.
I'm about halfway to being a mummy. Nate, what's your answer?
I'm actually, I feel like Marie's onto it. There's a little bit more. So they were completely soaked in scotch, but this happened pre-mortem? Pre-mortem. I'm just going to say that over and over. And the other odd thing, so they were very, very intoxicated. The other odd thing is they were pre-wrapped. They had a bandage going over their eyes and around to the back of their head, and it was knotted. And then they died, and they got mummified. What is interesting is that they both had sticks in their hand, and come to find out, they were at a birthday party, and they were both swinging for a piñata, hit each other on the head, and then they both died.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Scottish piñata mummies, just add scotch. So
And sombreros.
we have Molly they were actually wearing the bladder of the sheep. They were haggised. We have Carla with neo mummies. We have Marie with scotch saturated mummies, and we have Nate with piñata mummies. The actual answer is the two mummies were made from body parts of up to 6 individuals spanning over the course of 200 years.
Teamwork.
Cool.
That is teamwork.
That is the dream work.
So what apparently happened is tests revealed that their dead were preserved in bogs, dismembered hundreds of years later, reassembled, and buried.
Not reassembled correctly. Instructions
not reassembled correctly.
It was like IKEA
The guy and
directions.
his mom.
It was really hard with those IKEA directions.
Yeah, it was a flat
It happened. Well,
Yep.
Flat packed corpses happen that way. So Molly, we have Renee. We have Molly with haggis mummies, Carla Rose with new mummies, Marie with scotch mummies, and Nate with piñata mummies. How would you like to score?
You're all so bad.
Not impressed.
I'm gonna have to go. Nate, yours was the most ridiculous. I love it. So I'm gonna go throw you. Yeah, I'll throw you 50. How's that?
I love 50. I love
50 for Nate.
Yeah.
Our last question of 4 questions. Archaeologists discovered a jar from the 17th century, buried upside down. What were the bizarre contents of the jar? Nate, what was in the jar?
Fluff and Nutter. It was fluff and nutter. It's like a marshmallowy spread that you put on a sandwich. That stuff does not go bad, so they can still use it.
All right. I grew up on Fluff and Nutters, so that's perfect for me. Molly, what do you got?
What was in the jar was a combination of oil and vinegar that they tried to shake up. And then they also put in several hundred, and this is why they're almost extinct, fireflies, because they were trying to create their own really groovy lava lamp.
Our fireflies almost extinct.
All right. So, Molly, it was filled with a glow vinaigrette. Carla Rose, what do you got?
Okay. Well, I think I've heard about this. They exhumed it, and this was unique because it was in perfect condition. This is what, the 15th century?
17th, but yeah.
17th. Yeah. I read this thing 3 times. So it's like, up here, steel trap. Steel sieve, more like it. So they opened it and they were like, what the hell is this? So they got the guy, they felt bad for him, the guy that does the carbon dating. He hasn't had anything to do since the Shroud of Turin. So they're like, here, what's in this jar? This pink thing. What is it? It's solid. It's pink. It's slightly gelatinous. We don't hazard to taste it. We would, but we don't hazard it. So test this first. So the forensic carbon dating guy, he sliced it and he was like, this is a chunk of pickled mammoth meat made a la spam. It's spammoth. It was spammoth.
Spammoth.
All right.
Spammoth, and they all ate it, and they all died of dysentery.
Pickled mammoth spam. Pickled. I can't believe I just said the words pickled mammoth spam. Marie,
So
what's
freeing,
your
isn't
answer?
Well, I think the key here was that the jar was upside down, and the jar was upside down because it had just caught 2 bugs. A little kid was like catching bugs. These 2 bugs skeletons were dead, but before they had died, they had created another bug species which has never existed outside of this upside down jar because they only could exist inside of this upside down jar. So there was the ant and the bee and then the bumble ant. Bubble ant.
The bubble
Yes.
Bubble ant.
The bubble ant. Yes.
Well, ants are a type of wasp. So we have Nate with Fluffernutter, Molly with firefly vinaigrette, Carla Rose with pickled mammoth meat, and Marie with jug speciesed bumble ant.
Yes.
The correct answer is it was actually a witch bottle, so it contained urine, nail clippings, and hairpins. So your
I had
creepy
that.
uncle
My bathroom.
isn't losing it. He's just protecting his basement from witches.
Marie, was that the predecessor to the murder wasps?
Yes. Yes.
What have
They
they
were
done?
fire ants.
So witch bottles, the ingredients of witch bottles, funny enough, is also known as 17th century Axe body spray. So,
Yes.
Renee, we have Nate with Fluffernutter, Molly with firefly vinaigrette, Carla Rose with pickled mammoth meat, and Marie with the bumble ant. How would you like to score?
I don't know. The pickled mammoth meat makes you want to gag.
Good.
And so I'm gonna go with Carla Rose. I'm gonna throw you another 100.
I'll take it.
100 for
nice.
Carla Rose. All right. Now, Renee, before we move into our next segment, I wanted to take a moment and talk about your work and the craft of writing. I read Bone Cutters. I loved it. The link is in the description. So if you're a fan of Barker, read the novella. Now, I wanted to talk to you about your journey from idea to publication. What is your routine? Are you a daily writer or are you a burst of inspiration writer?
I try to make myself a daily writer, but it usually begins with a burst of inspiration. It's kind of like the Big Bang.
Yeah. That was my stripper name in high school.
You too? Weird.
Only happens once.
Mine was the Little Dipper.
The Little Dipper. What draws you to horror as a genre?
I guess I really just, I could go with a practiced answer, but really my mind just always goes to the worst case scenario of what could happen. Like it could be a great, beautiful, sunny day. Everything's great. And just something flashes through my mind that is just absolutely horrific and I can't stop it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But it's the one universal emotion. It's the one thing guaranteed that everybody will at least feel once in their life. We're born
Fear?
scared animals. Yeah.
Oh, what I would really like to know, and what everybody listening is dying to know, because I got hung up on it. Tell me about these ghosts in your house. Do they have names? What's going on here? Are we friends? Are they Caspers or are they not?
They a lot of the energy seems friendly, but
she said a lot. That doesn't mean all of it.
That doesn't mean all of it. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I don't see ghosts, not like, Ghost Whisperer. But I feel it a lot. And the things that I see that don't seem like they would be good are like black, dark.
Yeah.
I don't know
Like
how
shadow
to describe
figure.
it. But I guess, and this goes back to me, why I write horror is I like to face my fears. Like anytime something that doesn't seem good might be about, I face it. Like there was an instance when my son was a baby and, I was trying to get him to bed at night, breastfeeding him. And all of a sudden he just sat up and looked at the side of the bed, like just freaked out. And he's just going, that. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like clinging to me. And I just sat up and I'm like, what? I'm like, nothing's there. And I just waved my hand there. And after I waved my hand beside the bed, he just kind of settled back in and went to sleep.
Speaking of potentially supernatural things, what were the lights on the ISS space station? Well,
yes.
Our Give Me the Details opening answer asked, what were the mysterious lights? And we had a couple of very close answers, close being nowhere near right. The mysterious lights from the ISS turned out to be human activity reflected off the windows. Specifically, it was fishermen using bright xenon bulbs to lure Japanese flying fish to the surface, which is a common fishing technique in Asia.
To the light, Caroline.
So what you're saying is basically a laser pen.
Basically a laser pen. And the smoking gun, if you will, you can tell that it was reflected due to the transparency through the image and the fact that later on in the video, you could clearly see cities on Earth reflected in the same place.
Okay.
So, are you ready for our points?
Yes.
Our points are in last place. We have Nate with 50 points. Yeah! Followed by Marie with 100, Carla Rose with 200, and in no surprise to anybody, our reigning champion, our grand champion with 250 points. Join us when we return for Nate's pop quiz and Technically Correct, only on Balderdash Academy. Go Dashers! Remember to like and subscribe to the video. Also remember that we have options available if you'd like to support the show directly. You can also show your school pride with merch from our store, and we are also booking live shows, improv comedy, and team building throughout New England. So you can now have our faculty entertain you at your location or your next corporate event, your restaurant, wherever you need entertainment. Links to everything are in the description. Thank you for watching, and have a good night. Go Dashers!